What's up, everyone? It's your boy Norrin 89 here, bringing you another video. Today's going to be a really fun one because I wanted to talk about some of my favorite horror films in the last 5 years. So these are all films that came out in either 2020 to 2025. I don't have any films from 2025 on here yet. So it's all basically 2020 to 2024 type movies. And like I said, these are my favorite horror films that I've watched in the last 5 years, the ones that have made the monumental mark, that are either in my collection already or some that have criminally not gotten physical media releases. So we have stuff to talk about. So this is going to be a fun video. Let's get into this. Roll it. Before we get into my physical media releases of ones that I actually own, let's talk about the ones that I think need physical media releases and I want them. And you can only get these basically bootleg. You can get these on physical media, but it's like I said, bootleg copies and stuff like that. And one we're going to talk about right now is Hellraiser 2022. And we're going to be talking about the year of 2022 a lot because that was a very, very huge year for horror films. And we're going to talk about Hellraiser, and with Jamie Clayton coming in and just absolutely flooring me, bringing to life one of the best Pinhead performances I've seen since the original Doug Bradley. You know, I love Doug Bradley. I love the Hellraiser franchise, and it's a franchise that I adore. I love returning to it. I think the first Hellraiser, like the 5 films, the first 5 are legit. The first 2 are some of the greatest horror films of all time, but the first 5 films are legit. Then we got some kind of straight to DVD kind of trash type films, but then we finally got Jamie Clayton coming in, and she was just blew us out of the water with her Pinhead performance. And I actually liked the characters in this film. I thought the story was great. The Pinhead and Cenobite designs were fantastic. So I really do hope that this film actually gets a physical media release one day. Another group of films I want to talk about is the Fear Street trilogy, and we have the Fear Street ones that was just one of the best summers of my life, for real, because this was, I believe, it was like a spring or a summer type thing where they came out in 2021. They released all 3 films on Netflix, and they did, I believe it was like a week gap or a 2-week gap between each film and stuff like that. So we got 1994, then we got 78, and then we got 1666, all centering around Sarah Fear and the story that has to haunt, you know, this town and everything. We get introduced to a lot of fantastic characters, very cool young actors, and for me, like I said, this was one of my favorite experiences being a horror fan for that year of 2021. Like, for real, Netflix really got us through those, you know, kind of lulling kind of summer months and spring months. Sometimes you don't get a lot of horror movies and you're kind of just itching as a horror fan. You're itching and waiting for that fall time. The Fear Street trilogy just blew us out of the water, and I think still to this day is one of the best horror trilogies out there. Like, for real, you could put the Fear Street trilogy up against any trilogy out there, even outside of horror, and I would pick the Fear Street trilogy over a great many trilogies because this one lands in so many aspects, and it's got a lot to offer. Like I said, if you like 90s nostalgia, if you like more of that 70s, 80s nostalgia, if you want 1666, you want a more period piece type setting that's kind of like a frontier, you know, kind of thing, like there is really a lot to offer with this trilogy. Now let's talk about a film that recently came out, and this was The Substance. This film was so popular it actually got nominated for an Oscar, which is really great that the Oscars are kind of noticing and kind of recognizing horror more now. And The Substance is one of the best body horror films that's come out in the last 5 years. I absolutely adore this film. We have fantastic performances, but I think my favorite thing after rewatching this film, I've seen this film 3 times now, my favorite thing about this film is the look of it, the cinematography, the use of colors, and the use of different camera lenses and camera angles. Like, for real, Coralie Farge really knows what she's doing behind the camera, and the cinematographers that she had with her on set for this one, like, for real, The Substance is one of the most gorgeous films I've ever seen in my life, and one of the best body horror films and flat out horror films in the last 5 years. Now, you know, we couldn't go by without talking about Alien Romulus, and this is one that I know is not going to be on a lot of people's list. I know you're going to watch some people and they're going to talk about films that have come out in the last 5 years, and this film's probably not going to come up that often, but for me, It will, because this is clear cut, like no doubt. Like, I watch the Alien franchise a lot. In terms of sci-fi horror, it's one of my favorite horror franchises to revisit very often. So I know what I like and I know what I love in this franchise. And Alien Romulus is clear cut the best Alien film I've seen since Aliens and Alien. This is number 3 for me. Like I said, it hasn't eclipsed any of the first 2 yet. Like I said, I love Aliens. That's my absolute favorite. And then Alien is number 2. But Romulus for me is number 3, and this is absolutely one of my favorite watches, because I will go many, many years thinking about my theater experience, and this is one of my favorite theater experiences also of the last 5 years. Next up, we have a Shudder original, and this is Christmas Bloody Christmas. This one, I might catch some slack for this one, but dude, this film hit hard for me. I love Christmas horror films, and when you mix a Christmas slasher film with a Terminator type sci-fi theme kind of going on with this killer android, freaking Santa going around, they kill a child in this film. They are not afraid to go there. So that's what I mean. I love this film. I love our final girl. She's right there on the back. I think she's absolutely outstanding. And this is a film that has become kind of a Christmas Eve tradition for me. Like I said, over the last most recent years, like every time for Christmas Eve, I have to get this film in, because it stands the test of time for me, and it's growing on me. So this is probably one of those films that's always going to be a mainstay and on my top 10 Christmas horror films of all time, legit. Like, I love Christmas Bloody Christmas that much. So this is definitely going to be one of those films that's going to get constant rewatches, especially during the holiday season. Now we have Prey right here, and this is one that got a physical media release, and this one came out in 2022, so I want our Hellraiser physical media release. If we get a steelbook, I'll be jamming for that too, because that would be gorgeous. I bet you a Hellraiser steelbook would look freaking beautiful. So we're talking about Prey though right now, and I love this because the Alien franchise and the Predator franchise are right now firing on all cylinders. We have Alien Earth coming this year, and then we have also 2 Predator films, I believe, that are supposed to come out this year, Predator Badlands, and we're also getting a sequel to Prey, and I think Amber Midthunder is coming back to reprise her role. So for me, this is one of those films that just landed on so many levels. And when I think about the Predator franchise, this is number 2 for me. It's the first Predator film, and then Prey, and then Predators with Adrian Brody. Those are my top 3. So Prey was one that just knocked my socks off and was an absolute outstanding success. I've watched all kinds of versions of this film too. Like I said, I watched it when it first came out, the Steelbook, and also with the Native American language. They have a version on here too where you can watch it like that. So yes, this one floored me, and I can't wait for Predator Badlands and the sequel to Prey. Now we're here to talk about David Cronenberg's son, and this is Possessor. And this one was, fun fact, was on my 5 influential horror films. When you want to go check out that, go to Voices from the Mausoleum and check out their playlist. They have an influential horrors playlist, and you can check out all the guests they've had on the channel for that. I was one of the guests, and I brought this film up because I love Brandon Cronenberg. I adore David, don't get me wrong. David got me into body horror. Trust me, I love David Cronenberg so much, but when it comes to his son, I think for me, I want so much more movies from him, because in terms of the films that I enjoy, Brandon delivers them. I think Antiviral is great. Possessor is even better, and I had fun with Infinity Pool. It's not the best of his films. I think that one's the weakest, but I think all 3 of them land for me, and Possessor is one of my most influential horror films of the last 5 years, and just so great in terms of body horror and practical effects. Everything in this film you can touch. I mean, everything in here is a practical effect, and I find that fascinating that Brendan Cronenberg, I've watched the special features on this, he searched out this team of creative people that wanted to bring to life and do things that they've never done on screen before, and this is one of those movies that you can check out. You're not going to see, this is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. You're not going to see a lot of films like this, and that's why it's sitting here on my list for some of my favorite films in horror in the last 5 years. Now I wanted to finish this list off with a 2022 film, because that was such a strong year in horror. When I think about the last 5 years, I think 2022 is still my favorite, and Ty West delivered us X. And in terms of X, I'm kind of talking about the whole trilogy as a whole, because this is one that I would put on the same level with the Fear Street trilogy. X, Pearl, and Maxine, for me, I adore them. I have quite a controversial ranking because X is my favorite, then I love Maxine second, and Pearl is my least favorite, but that's not to say Pearl is a bad film. It's just what I prefer in terms of a horror fan, and in terms of my taste. I prefer a 70s slasher, gritty, porno, dirty type film, and that's what X is. It's a beautiful, dirty movie, and I adore this film. And the fact that it started the trilogy, that's always going to be one thing I'm going to champion for real, which is something that I typically don't, because I usually love sequels better. But for X in the trilogy, and I hope it stays a trilogy, I really do. I know Ty West has inclinations and rumblings of wanting to do another film in this franchise, but I think for me, I love the trilogy as it is, and I really want more just clear-cut trilogies. I just want more. I like sequels, but I would love more trilogies just in cinema in general, and I think X, Pearl, and Maxine is one of those perfect ones for me because it captures a different vibe with each film, and Ty West is such an amazing director that behind the scene and the stories that he weaves with his characters and the casts that he I'm all for it. So I can't wait for Ty West's next project. Like I said, I hope it's not something in the X trilogy. I hope it could be something in the universe of X. I've told people that I wouldn't mind if it was in the same universe as these movies, but I'm kind of done with these characters. I like, Maxine's, whole journey. I really do. So I'm happy with it. And I think you guys want to definitely check out other videos on my channel for sure. I love and appreciate all your support. Please like the video. That definitely helps out the channel. Subscribe if you're new to the channel, and have that notification bell poked so you're notified anytime I drop a video, and let me know what are some of your favorite horror films in the last 5 years, because this is just, like I said, my compilation, my list. These are films that I thought of, like I said, a couple that I need physical media releases of. Come on, please give us that Fear Street and that Hellraiser 2022, but also ones that I own that I just had to talk about. I was kind of excited and wanted to do kind of, a list celebrating the last 5 years of horror, because it's been a very strong 5 years, and I think this is one of the best kind of like decades for real. I always go back to the 80s because I fascinate the 80s. I love the 70s and the 60s, but I think for real, the 2020s, 2020 to 2025, we are doing beautifully. So I can't wait to see what this year has to offer. But most importantly, y'all know what's up. Have a safe and happy day. Peace out.